I, 29F, am getting married to my fiancé Mason, 31M, in just 2 weeks. We've been together for 8 years and engaged for the past 6 months. I was really excited about the wedding until some recent drama with my stepmom Noah, 52F, threatened to ruin everything. My parents divorced when I was 5. It was amicable, and they've always co-parented well. My earliest memories are of my parents already living apart, but there was never any tension or fighting. They'd both show up for school events, take turns hosting holidays, and even helped each other out when needed. I remember my mom driving my dad to the hospital when he had appendicitis because she was closer than an ambulance. Growing up, I spent weekdays with my mom and weekends with my dad. It was a good arrangement that allowed me to have strong relationships with both parents. My dad dated casually over the years, but nothing serious. He always made sure to prioritize our time together. My mom also dated a bit, but was mostly focused on her career as a pediatric nurse. She worked long hours, but always made time for me. We had a weekly girls' night where we'd cook dinner together and watch cheesy rom-coms. Those nights are some of my favorite childhood memories. That all changed when I was 13. My dad met Noah at a work conference. She was a representative for a company that supplied equipment to my dad's engineering firm. They hit it off immediately and started dating. At first, I was happy for my dad. He seemed more energetic and smiled more often. Noah made an effort to bond with me from the start. She'd take me shopping, help with my homework, and ask about my interests. I remember one time she surprised me with tickets to a concert I really wanted to attend. My dad couldn't go because of work, so Noah took me herself. We had a great time, and I started to warm up to the idea of her being part of our family. Things moved quickly. Within a year, my dad proposed, and they got married. I was 14 at the time. The wedding was a small affair, just close family and friends. I was a junior bridesmaid and actually felt excited about gaining a stepmom. Noah had been so kind and attentive, I thought we'd have a great relationship. Everything changed after the honeymoon. It was like a switch flipped in Noah. She became cold and dismissive when my dad wasn't around. At first, it was small things. She'd forget to include me in dinner plans or criticize my choice of clothes. I brushed it off as wedding stress, or her adjusting to being a stepmom. But it escalated quickly. Noah started making nasty comments about my appearance, grades, friends, anything she could criticize. She'd tell me I was lazy and ungrateful. If I got an A, instead of an A, she'd say I was disappointing my father. When I made the volleyball team, she said it was only because they needed to fill a quota. The worst part was how she'd flip a switch when my dad came home. Suddenly, she was all smiles and asked about my day. She'd brag to my dad about my accomplishments, the same ones she'd belittled earlier. It was confusing and hurtful. I tried telling my dad early on, but Noah would cry and insist I was lying to break them up. She told him I was jealous and trying to sabotage their marriage because I wanted him to get back with my mom. This was ridiculous. My parents had been divorced for nearly a decade and were both happily single. But Noah sold it convincingly. My dad seemed conflicted and unsure who to believe. I overheard him and Noah arguing about it once. She was sobbing, saying she was trying so hard to be a good stepmom, but I hated her. She suggested maybe I should live full-time with my mom if I was so unhappy. That scared me into silence. I didn't want to lose time with my dad. After that, I decided to just grit my teeth and deal with it on my own. I focused on school and extracurriculars, anything to keep me out of the house. I got a part-time job at 16 just to have an excuse to be gone on weekends. My grades were good enough that I could have skipped the job, but I needed the escape. For years, I put up with Noah's two-faced behavior. She was sugary sweet when my dad was home, then cruel and dismissive the second he left. She'd accidentally shrink my clothes in the wash or forget to tell me about family plans until the last minute. Once she even misplaced my college application materials, nearly making me miss a crucial deadline. I counted down the days until I could move out for college. I chose a school a few hours away, far enough that I couldn't commute, but close enough to visit occasionally. Those 4 years were a breath of fresh air. I could finally relax without constantly walking on eggshells. Even after I left home, Noah would find ways to snipe at me during visits. She'd make backhanded compliments about my career, relationships, appearance, always with plausible deniability, so I couldn't call her out. I learned to gray rock her and limit our interactions. I met Mason during my senior year of college. He was a grad student in the engineering department, coincidentally the same field as my dad. We bonded over our shared love of sci-fi movies and board games. Our first date was a 6-hour marathon of the Lord of the Rings trilogy. Mason was patient and understanding about my family situation. He never pushed me to spend more time with Noah than I was comfortable with. When we'd visit my dad, Mason would run interference. keeping conversations light and steering clear of sensitive topics. When I started dating Mason, Noah actually seemed to like him at first. She was polite and welcoming, which surprised me. I was cautiously optimistic that maybe she was maturing and we could have a cordial relationship. How naive I was. Last week, Mason showed me some disturbing texts from Noah. She claimed she had proof I was cheating on him with an ex-boyfriend. She sent Mason edited photos of me with a male friend, cropped to look intimate. Noah urged Mason to break off our engagement immediately, saying I would only break his heart. I was floored. The proof was from my friend Jake's birthday party months ago. Jake and I had been close since freshman year of college. He was like a brother to me and had been nothing but supportive of my relationship with Mason. Noah had taken group photos from social media and manipulated them to look incriminating. She told Mason not to confront me, but to just end things quietly to avoid drama. Thankfully, Mason trusts me completely and came to me right away. He was confused but not suspicious. I explained Noah's long history of trying to sabotage my life and relationships. Mason was appalled that she would go to such lengths to hurt me. I was beyond furious. This was a new low, even for Noah. She wasn't just being petty anymore. She was actively trying to destroy my relationship and future marriage. I'd had enough of her abuse and manipulation. I immediately called my dad and told him everything. I laid out Noah's years of mistreatment, manipulation, and now this attempt to break up. My engagement. I told him I was done pretending everything was fine for his sake. Either Noah goes or I'm cutting contact with both of them. My dad was stunned. He had no idea things were so bad between Noah and me. He asked for some time to process everything and talk to Noah. I agreed, but said I needed an answer by the end of the day. A few hours later, my dad called back. He was angry and hurt, saying he had confronted Noah and she admitted to sending the texts. She tried to justify it by claiming she was protecting the family, but my dad wasn't buying it. He told Noah to leave and that he wanted a divorce. I felt relieved but also guilty. I never wanted to break up my dad's marriage, but I couldn't keep suffering Noah's abuse just to keep the peace. My dad assured me I did the right thing by telling him the truth. He apologized for not seeing what was happening and letting it go on for so long. Now Noah is blowing up my phone, begging me to talk to my dad. She says it was all a misunderstanding and she didn't mean any harm. Her family is also harassing me, saying I've ruined Noah's life over petty drama. They're insisting I convince my dad to take her back. I've blocked Noah and told her family to back off. Mason and I are moving forward with the wedding plans. My dad is staying with my uncle while he sorts out the divorce proceedings. Part of me feels guilty for blowing up my family just weeks before my wedding. But a bigger part feels free from Noah's toxicity for the first time in 15 years. Aida for giving my dad an ultimatum and getting my stepmom kicked out? Update 1. It's been about a week since my last post. Thank you all so much for the supportive comments and messages. Reading them really helped me feel less guilty about the situation with Noah. The wedding is now just a week away. Despite the drama, Mason and I are both really excited. We've had some last-minute details to sort out, but overall the planning is going smoothly. My mom and bridesmaids have been amazing, picking up slack where needed. My dad is doing okay, I think. He's still staying with my uncle, giving himself space to process everything. We've had a few long talks where he apologized again for not seeing Noah's behavior sooner. He admitted he'd noticed some tension between us over the years, but Noah always had excuses that seemed plausible at the time. I've learned more about why my dad was so blindsided by all this. Apparently, Noah had been telling him for years that I was hostile and difficult with her. She'd twist every interaction to make me sound unreasonable. If I was quiet at family dinners, I was sullen and rude. If I tried to engage, I was attention-seeking. Noah had my dad convinced that I resented her for replacing my mom, even though my parents' divorce was amicable. She said I was trying to sabotage their marriage out of jealousy. My dad feels horrible for believing her lies for so long. The divorce proceedings have started and it's getting ugly. Noah is demanding an insane amount of alimony, claiming she sacrificed her career to be a stepmom. Never mind that she quit her part-time retail job years ago to be a housewife, aka day drinking and watching TV while my dad worked 60-hour weeks. Noah is also trying to claim half of my dad's retirement savings and pension. Her lawyer is arguing that she's entitled to it for her years of service to the family. My dad's lawyer is fighting it, especially since they've only been married 15 years and have no kids together. The good news is, my dad had insisted on a prenup when they got married. Noah fought it at the time, saying it showed he didn't trust her. I'm so glad my dad stood firm on that. It's making the divorce proceedings much cleaner. Noah is still trying to contact me, switching between begging and threats. She's called my work, showed up at my apartment, and even tried to crash a wedding planning lunch with my bridesmaids. I've had to file for a restraining order to keep her away. Her latest tactic is love bombing my dad, sending flowers and weepy voicemails about how sorry she is. My dad isn't falling for it this time. He says he's done and just wants this chapter of his life closed. I'm trying to focus on the wedding and not let Noah's antics distract me. Mason has been my rock through all of this. He's handling last-minute vendor calls and keeping me calm when I start to stress. I'm so grateful to have him by my side. My mom has also been incredibly supportive. She and my dad have always been on good terms post-divorce. When she heard what was happening, she immediately offered to help my dad find a good lawyer and therapist. It means a lot to see my parents still looking out for each other after all these years. The next week is going to be a whirlwind of final fittings, seating charts, and vendor confirmations. I'm choosing to focus on the joy of marrying Mason and celebrating with our loved ones. Noah and her drama can take a backseat. I refuse to let her taint this special time for us. Update 2. The wedding was 2 days ago, and it was absolutely perfect. Despite all the drama leading up to it, the day itself was filled with love, laughter, and happy tears. Mason and I wrote our own vows, which had everyone reaching for tissues. My dad walked me down the aisle and gave a beautiful toast at the reception. Seeing him smile and enjoy himself meant the world to me. Now for the Noah update, because of course she tried to cause problems. The night before the wedding, she showed up at my bachelorette party, completely drunk. She was screaming about how I'd ruined her life and stolen her husband. My maid of honor, bless her, handled it like a champ. She and a few other bridesmaids escorted Noah out while someone else called the cops. Noah was arrested for violating the restraining order. She spent the night in jail and was only released after the wedding was over. My dad felt terrible about the incident, but I assured him it wasn't his fault. If anything, it just reinforced that we'd made the right decision in cutting her out of our lives. I refuse to feel guilty for protecting myself from her abuse anymore. The only downside is that Noah's stunt has complicated the divorce proceedings. Her lawyer is trying to argue that she's unstable due to the trauma of being abandoned by my dad. They're pushing for an even bigger settlement now. My dad's lawyer is confident it won't fly, especially with the restraining order violation on record. As for me and Mason, we're blissfully happy newlyweds. We're leaving for our honeymoon tomorrow, 2 weeks in Greece that we've been planning for months. I can't wait to relax on the beach with my husband. Still not used to saying that. And put all this drama behind us. I want to thank everyone who's offered support and advice throughout this ordeal. Your kind words gave me strength when I needed it most. I'm looking forward to this new chapter of my life, free from Noah's toxicity and surrounded by people who truly love and support me.